In a past life, a rich lady tossed a cool million my way and demanded I ditch my hubby. I stood my ground and said no, no matter what she threw at me. But my husband went all out, smothered me to death just to keep me from blocking his path into her affluent family. Fast forward to now, reborn and facing the same rich lady who's once again flashing $1 million at me. I wiped away my tears and let out a loud cry. You want my awesome husband, right? You got to pay more, $1 million, and you cut ties with Marcus ASAP. The classy lady across from me stirred her coffee slowly and slid a check towards me. It was exactly $1 million. Marcus, chilling beside her, wrapped his arm around her arm, looking all smug. Emma, I'm the heir to the Sterling family. You're just a small-town girl and not worth my time anymore. Sign the divorce papers now or you'll never get into the Sterling circle. Tisk, trying to act like a high-class heir but totally lacking that wealthy vibe, he looked like a total clown. Deep down, I despised this jerk who was ready to bail on his wife before even fully joining the rich family. But outwardly, I grabbed Marcus' sleeve, crying with tears and snot streaming down my face. Marcus and I have been together for 5 years, why tear us apart? Don't forget we've been tight since college. Marcus shoved my hand away, looking disgusted. Let go, you've messed up my clothes, these are expensive and you can't afford them. If I knew I was the Sterling heir, I'd never be with a broke guy like you. Someone worthy would be a lady from a family as rich as the Sterlings. The noble lady frowned, getting impatient. I'll give you $2 million, divorce quickly and don't ever show your face here again. Seeing the drama drag on, I dried my tears and countered. She wants my beloved husband, you got to pay more, make it $10 million and I won't sign even if it kills me. Don't even think about killing me to keep me quiet, I was ready for that before coming here. If I vanish mysteriously, the cops would catch on to my death instantly. Marcus and the noble lady turned pale, probably didn't expect me to ask for a whopping $10 million and that I was prepared for any outcome. If I hadn't been reborn, I wouldn't have thought of this because Marcus was the Sterling heir lost since childhood and I refused to sign the divorce papers thinking it'd be awkward bringing me into their elite family and wanting to marry someone wealthy. So my husband, whom I loved for 2 years and married for 3, suffocated me to death with a pillow in bed. Thank goodness I'm back, this time I won't repeat the same mistakes. The divorce was bound to happen but before that, I wasn't asking too much by demanding compensation for my lost youth and the death I endured, right? The noble lady was clearly hesitant, but Marcus had been struggling financially for too long. Now that he found out he was the heir to a wealthy family, he was eager to ditch me, his old and unattractive wife. He immediately told the noble lady, Mom, our family is loaded anyway, just use the $10 million to get rid of this woman. I'm the Sterling heir who's going to marry a lady from a similarly wealthy family, we can't let her bug us. Ignoring the cold glare flashing in her eyes, Marcus kept talking, dreaming of marrying a rich girl. Sitting across from them, I saw everything clearly. I wasn't in any rush with Marcus acting as this unexpected ally, the noble lady had to pay up even if she didn't want to. Sure enough, after a bit, she agreed. $10 million, deal, but you got to sign the divorce papers now. I agreed without hesitation. The Sterling family's lawyers arrived super fast, in just 10 minutes their lawyers came over with the divorce agreement draft. I took it and read through it. Besides the complicated legal jargon I didn't get it, basically meant after the divorce we'd have nothing to do with each other. I couldn't use any excuse to bother the Sterling family or harass Marcus anymore. I glanced subtly at the noble lady who was calm and collected, as expected from someone from a big family, she had everything figured out. This way, even if Marcus disappeared later, no one would make a fuss about it, the Sterling family would naturally be much safer. I twirled the pen in my hand and didn't sign right away. Marcus urged impatiently, what's taking so long, sign it quickly. Seriously, he was freaking out that I'd back out. I leaned back comfortably on the soft seat. What's the rush, your lawyers are here but mine are still on their way. Grace, the noble lady, paused with her coffee but said nothing. Marcus asked quickly, your lawyer, what do you need a lawyer for? I smiled faintly at Grace and replied, of course it's to have Grace declare the $10 million as a gift. What if I sign the divorce first and then Grace takes the money back? Marcus was super annoyed with my petty move. Look at you, all scruffy and stuff, not exactly presentable. My mom's a wealthy lady, 10 million is just the price of a handbag for her, she won't back out on her promise to you. A hint of guilt and embarrassment showed on Grace's face. Oh, I guess I was right. I patted my chest and put on a scared look. I'm timid, so of course I got to be prepared. You two are wealthy, no way you'd haggle with a regular person like me, right? These flattering words made Marcus feel at ease. He waved his hand generously. Since you're so inexperienced, I won't argue with you. I laughed secretly to myself. He didn't have to pay the money himself, yet he was so generous with other people's cash. Look at Grace's white-knuckled fingers, I bet he won't escape when he goes back. After my lawyer arrived, he reviewed the agreement drafted by the Sterling family's lawyer and nodded, showing no issues. Marcus quickly asked, "Can you sign it now?" I tapped the table and said, "I can sign, but there's a condition to add. All the property at home belongs to me and you leave with nothing." Marcus was stunned for a second, then glared at me angrily. "Emma, how dare you ask me to leave with nothing?" I couldn't help but roll my eyes. "Marcus, don't forget your status. You've already joined the Sterling family, you can have anything you want. Why fight with me over a few savings, cars and houses?" Grace was clearly worried things might get messy if things dragged on. She urged Marcus, "She's right, the Sterling family has everything. Why are you still arguing over that small property?" Marcus's expression relaxed. "All right, you can have it all." After the agreement was finalized, we quickly signed our names. All that was left was to wait a month for the divorce certificate. Before leaving, Marcus arrogantly lifted his chin, showing a sharp jawline. "Just live on this little money for the rest of your life, small town girl." I gracefully gave him the middle finger. After I died in my previous life, out of resentment, my soul had been following Marcus all the time. So I knew that the noble lady brought Marcus back to the Sterling family not for a reunion but because of a shocking conspiracy. It was true that Marcus was the Sterling heir, however Grace wasn't his biological mother. He was just the result of a brief fling between the late President Adrian and his mistress. Although President Adrian was known for his affairs, he always kept it under control and never had an illegitimate child before. Marcus's mother had some shady plans and used methods to have him. Unfortunately, President Adrian didn't buy into the idea that a mother could gain status through her son. So in a fit of rage, Marcus's mother took him and left. She never saw President Adrian again until she died of illness 10 years ago. With such a notorious husband, Grace could still keep her position and solid. Besides her family background, her own smarts and skills couldn't be underestimated. Such a woman wouldn't be dumb enough to bring back an illegitimate son to compete with her own son for the family fortune. The real reason she came after Marcus now was because Grace's son William had urea and needed a kidney transplant. Coincidentally, Grace discovered Marcus because I was an employee of the Sterling Group. I happened to see him searching for me in the parking lot. When Grace saw Marcus, who looked just like her husband, she immediately arranged for all the company's employees and their families to get physicals. Since I could save some cash on the exam fees, I happily asked Marcus to come along. This made it easy for Grace to set up tests and compatibility checks between Marcus and William. The results made Grace both happy and furious. She was happy her son could be saved but angry her husband had an illegitimate son. But it didn't matter, after the transplant, Marcus would be useless. At that point, his life and death would be in her hands. So Marcus lived a luxurious life. He thought his fortune had changed and that he was set to live the high life as an heir. Little did he know it was all a setup, like feeding a pig before slaughter. Once he was healthy, he'd be sent to the slaughterhouse. But none of that mattered anymore. Our relationship as husband and wife had already been crushed by him with a pillow in my previous life. Now I just wanted to watch him fall apart. After getting 10 million, the first thing I did was list the small house I was living in with a real estate agency. Then I quickly went to a new housing development to check out new places. My requirements weren't high, I just needed a well-decorated existing house with good security. Reborn, I couldn't make the same mistakes and fall for jerks again. After a week of house hunting and research, I finally settled on a nicely decorated small 3-bedroom apartment close to the city center. Entry required face recognition or access cards. There were security guards patrolling morning, noon, and night, plus there was a police station nearby. Feeling super secure, I bought it and paid in full on the spot. After leaving the sales center, I felt so refreshed, I decided to treat myself to a delicious meal. Just as I was eating heartily, 2 guys walked by me. The younger one looked like a college student and seemed a bit familiar. I couldn't help but glance at him a few more times. He was pleading with the other middle-aged guy. "Mr. Lee, our game is really awesome, it's going to make loads of money in the future, please think it over." The man, Mr. Lee, impatiently shook off the young guy's hand. "Come on with your crappy game, even a pig could climb a tree if it made money." It was about seeking investment to start a business. I turned my head, not too interested. Suddenly, a flash went through my mind. Wait, I remembered who this young man was. I quickly finished the big chicken leg in my hand and rushed forward to grab the corner of his shirt, which was about to leave disappointedly. "Don't go yet, let me check out your game." The young guy looked at my ordinary clothes and the joy vanished from his face. I twitched the corners of my mouth. "Hey, what's with that look? Even though I'm dressed a bit shabby, I still have some cash." Now, with that, I pulled out the invoice for buying the house and waved it in front of his eyes. "Look, the invoice for the house I just bought." His eyes lit up and he hugged my thigh, shouting at the top of his voice. "Rich lady, please take me seriously." Under the curious gazes of people around, I patted his head. "Be good, let sister pat you." This guy, Jake, was going to become a big shot in ODM games in the future. A series of mobile love games developed by his team were getting mad praise from women and were super popular nationwide as soon as they launched. I saw others playing it when I was still a wandering spirit. Those male characters in the game were so charming. If I could still play mobile games back then, maybe I'd have been one of the players spending big on in-game purchases. So when I saw Jake's project proposal and confirmed he was the one behind ODM Games, I didn't hesitate to make a move. "Great, I'll invest in this game. How much do you need?" Jake was dumbfounded. "Well, don't you want to think about it more?" I asked him strangely. "Think about what? I'm ready to invest. Aren't you happy?" Jake stammered. "This isn't like buying groceries at the store, it's a huge sum, maybe you'll lose all your investment." I shot back. "Do you even have any confidence in yourself?" He immediately stiffened and said, "Of course not, I believe our game will be a massive hit online." I slapped the table. "That's it, young people should be more confident. Come on, I'll transfer the money after we sign the contract." Jake moved quickly. I spent over $1 million on a house in the morning and another $2 million investing in Jake's studio in the afternoon. The next day, using memories from my past life, I invested several million in stocks that were about to skyrocket. If things went smoothly, I wouldn't have to worry about food or clothing for the rest of my life, even if I stopped working. I could already imagine the money rolling and burying me. After finishing all these tasks, I hummed a tune and headed to work leisurely. My colleagues joked one after another, asking if I'd found some money recently since I was so happy. I smiled and bought each of them a cup of milk tea. "I ditched that jerk, congrats to me." My colleagues were stunned for a moment. Once they realized what was happening, they didn't ask too many questions but congratulated me on my decision. Congrats on becoming single again. Unfortunately, my good mood was short-lived when a familiar stranger interrupted. I was just delivering a document when I saw the flashy Ethan flirting with a girl, twirling a rose. To be fair, Ethan was good look, the girl was totally into him. When he saw me, Ethan paused for a second. I pretended not to notice and walked straight past. Ethan wasn't planning to notice me either, but seeing I didn't seem to want to acknowledge him, he got pissed. "Emma, don't you even say hi when you see someone you know? Tisk tisk, you're really a rude small-town girl." The girl curiously asked. "Young master, do you know her?" Ethan acted cool and flipped his hair. "Not really, we were just college classmates. I used to treat her to a few meals when she was broke." He really had the nerve to say that. When we were in college, neither of us was well off, but when he was sick in the hospital and needed money urgently, I still didn't hesitate to give him the few $100 I had left. However, he only treated me to 2 meals after he got out of the hospital and never mentioned paying me back. He was shameless enough to flaunt it. The girl, unaware of the truth, let out an excited shriek. Wow, the young master is so kind, unlike the eldest young master who always looks so cold. Ethan modestly said with a smug look. I don't have many flaws, I just can't stand seeing others suffer. The girl screamed even louder. I turned around expressionlessly, about to leave. Running into 2 idiots while at work was more than enough. Ethan quickly blocked my way. Emma, you must be really lonely lately, right? How about I introduce someone to you? My driver is great, even though Uncle Lee is over 40, he has a high salary, he's good enough for you. Aw, so annoying, Ethan is so slow, could this jerk just die already? I looked at him with a faint smile and said. Ethan, don't get ahead of yourself, my young and cute boyfriend is so obedient and treats me so well, so I've been with him every day recently and we're having a blast. If I hadn't seen you today, I'd have forgotten who you are. Ethan widened his eyes in disbelief. What, it's only been a few days and you've already cheated? I couldn't help but marvel at Ethan's thick skin, he was the one who asked for a divorce and told me not to bother him, now he's furious that I'm with another guy. Why was I so blind before that I didn't realize he was such a man? I pointed to his group of fangirls behind him. Ethan, keep your voice down, we're just ordinary classmates, you don't want people knowing I'm the wife you abandon, right? Ethan's angry face suddenly froze. He swallowed his anger and reluctantly put on an innocent look. Go and get busy, old classmate, we'll catch up when we have time. I had just sat back in my seat for no more than 10 minutes when the department manager called me into the office. Emma, you're fired, pack your stuff and leave the company now. I was so shocked, I propped my hands on the desk. Manager Lee, I don't think there's anything wrong with my work, why am I being fired? Manager Lee sighed and said vaguely. I'm confused too, I asked HR and they said it's the higher-ups' decision. I clenched my fists, closed my eyes and said. Thank you, Manager Lee, I understood. Haha, besides that jerk Ethan, who else could it be? As soon as I walked out of the office, I made a phone call. What do you want? Ethan arrogantly said on the other end. I'm in the underground parking lot, if you want to keep your job, come here alone. Listen, you dead bee is talking. The place Ethan chose was super secluded, no one around and no cameras. As soon as he saw me, Ethan started bossing me around like an arrogant ally. Emma, I know you love this job, right? Well, just kneel down and lick my shoes clean and I won't fire you, how about it? Pretty sweet deal, huh? He was right, I did value this job a lot, both my parents were regular workers and our family could barely make ends meet. I never went on school trips every year because I couldn't afford the hundreds of uncost. So as soon as I graduated, I hustled among a bunch of graduates and managed to get into the Sterling group. They provided food and accommodation, overtime pay, holiday bonuses and all the social insurances and housing fund. I was saving a ton every month, if nothing went wrong, I planned to work at the Sterling group until I retired. But now I changed my mind, looking at Ethan's detestable face, the resentment I had bottled up finally erupted. Taking advantage of his complacency, I pulled out the pepper spray from my pocket and sprayed it hard in his eyes. He was caught off guard and sprayed right in the eyes, letting out a shrill scream. I then took out the rolling pin I just bought and whipped it hard on his body. Smack! I'll teach you a lesson for abandoning your wife for wealth. How dare you hit me, he stammered. Smack! I'll teach you a lesson for plotting to kill for money. I didn't plot to kill for money. Smack! How dare you talk back, I say you did then you did. I did, please stop hitting me. Smack! Since you admitted it, why can't I hit you, it hurts so much, you damn woman, stop hitting me. After whipping him for 10 minutes, I finally stopped, not because he was almost beaten to death but because I was tired from hitting him. After venting my anger like this, the world seemed much nicer. I stretched and kicked him with my toe. Ethan, I heard you were going to fire me. Ethan was lying on the ground, curled up like a shrimp, sweating profusely. He shook his head weakly. Don't dare, don't dare. I sneered. So what the HR said about firing me was just nonsense. He forced a smile that was uglier than crying. Yes, they were talking nonsense. Look at how arrogant you were before and now you're such a coward. I kicked him again. Call me daddy. Ethan growled angrily in a low voice. A gentleman would rather be killed than humiliated, you. I whipped the rolling pin on his waist again. Call me daddy. He bit his lip and didn't say a word. I raised the rolling pin and was about to hit him again. Ethan shivered with fright and quickly shouted softly. Daddy. Smack, I whipped his leg. Didn't you have breakfast? Louder. I raised the rolling pin higher and higher and finally he couldn't hold it anymore and shouted loudly. Daddy, 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 ah, I declare that this is the most wonderful sound I've ever heard. I whipped him again with satisfaction. Get lost, I don't have a scoundrel like you as a son. He stood up tremblingly and asked cautiously. Can I go now? I said casually. Squat down. He immediately did his told. I said. Didn't you just want to fire me and make me leave? I've decided to do as you wished, however, it's not that you fired me, it's me who quits the Sterling Group. You tell HR to issue a statement that it's a non-fault dismissal and the Sterling Group has to compensate me with 3 months' salary. Do you hear me? Ethan didn't dare say a word and could only nod obediently. I hugged my arms and sneered. I know what you're thinking, you just want to cause trouble for me after leaving safely by messing with my resignation procedures, right? Exposing his thoughts, Ethan's face turned terribly ugly. You must be planning to take over the Sterling Group while President Adrian is hospitalized, right? I had already recorded everything that happened and sent it to my lawyer friend. Listen up, if you dare lay a finger on me, whether I'm dead, injured or missing, this video and the could only do as I said. After getting the compensation, I left the Sterling Group without looking back. Even if he hadn't fired me, I didn't want to stay there anymore. God knows if I continued working there would I get killed by Ethan again. I decided that before Ethan's kidney was taken away, I'd stay away from him and the Sterling family. So after changing my house, I also changed my phone number. Except for family and a few good friends, nobody else could find me. This way, I started living a homebody life. But being a homebody didn't mean I was cut off from the world. After several rounds of tests, the Otone Love mobile game developed by Jake and his team finally launched on the market. According to Jake's report, several million players registered on the first day. The number kept climbing steadily. The stocks I bought before soared again and again. I made a fortune. My dream of lying on a pile of money and counting it came true. But that wasn't enough. Using memories from my previous life, I used the money I earned to buy several second-hand houses that were about to be demolished. Later, I took over a cat cafe. This way, even if I didn't work in the future, I could support myself with income from the cat cafe. Just as I was happily counting my money, an old colleague sent me a message. Ethan had been kicked out of the Sterling Group. As I expected, Ethan was indeed planning to take over the Sterling Group after I left. He started mingling. Come on, you're a rich lady, could you please treat us to something high-end, elegant and fitting your status? He was so picky even when getting something for free. I got angry, my fists clenched, but seeing everyone's tired and pale faces from working overtime all day, I softened. After all, they were just recent grads, still like big kids, 2 of them hadn't even graduated yet. So I waved my hand and said generously, arrange your time, I'll treat you to a day at the leisure center in the suburbs this Sunday. Yeah, long live the rich lady, sister. These big kids cheered together. Jake touched his chin arrogantly. Since you invited me sincerely, then I interrupted him expressionlessly. Then you can stay here and work overtime. After getting along with them during this time, I figured Jake was the type who'd get carried away with a little praise. I definitely couldn't be too polite with him. Jake pitifully grabbed my sleeve. No, I'll go, I want to go. This time it was my turn to touch my chin arrogantly. Since you begged me sincerely, I'll mercifully agree. However, you got to keep working hard after we come back and make more money for me. Jake wiped away the non-existent tears like a wrong little wife. Damn it, I know rich people are heartless. His funny look made us all burst out laughing. Staying with these. Ridiculed by me, Ethan was so angry his chest heaved a few times. Emma, don't go too far. I didn't bother to pay attention to him. Instead I turned to the girl and said, Miss, you should keep your eyes wide open when choosing a man. A guy like him who can't pay the bill when going out but still tries to act tough is the worst. The girl nodded in agreement. That makes sense. With that, she took out a card from her bag and handed it to the cashier. Let me pay, Ethan, you helped me once before, now I'm repaying your favor. In the future we owe each other nothing. Nice, I like girls who listen to advice. Nothing nice, I like girls who listen to advice. Ethan hurriedly explained, trying to win her back. Don't listen to her nonsense, you don't know, I have a feud with her, she's making things up about me. I couldn't help but interrupt, eager to add fuel to the fire. Oh, you like her but you don't even have money to pay for going out, also you said we have a feud, well tell me what's the feud between us? Ethan stammered and couldn't say a word for a long time. Of course he couldn't say it, whether it was him giving me a check to divorce me before or me beating him up in the parking lot, these were all embarrassing things he couldn't openly mention in front of the girl he was completely broken off with Ethan. The next time I heard about Ethan was on the hot search list. Mother and son turned against each other, the young heir of a wealthy family killed his mother for a kidney, the president of the Sterling Group died of rejection after a kidney transplant, there was chaos within the Sterling Group. When I clicked on it to check, Ethan had really gone all out after being taken back. Just like in his previous life, one of his kidneys was removed and transplanted to President Adrian. Taking advantage of the fact that others wouldn't be on guard during his recovery, he stabbed Grace to death in the hospital. At the same time, President Adrian had a severe acute rejection reaction after the transplant and died on the spot despite rescue efforts. After killing Grace, Ethan was found fainted by the roadside and sent back to the hospital. The police caught him without much effort. Everything Grace had done was made public as a result, the Sterling Group was pushed to the forefront and boycotted by the public. Moreover, with the person in power dead and without a leader, the Sterling Group was on the verge of collapsing. I was so happy that I clicked on all the relevant hot searches one by one to read them carefully. I even generously gave a like. This dog drama made me feel refreshed. So I went to Jake's studio again and raised my arm shouting loudly. Kids, we're having a day off today, the rich lady sister is treating you, I'll take you to the leisure center to have a great time again. Jake snorted through his nose. You're just causing trouble, we haven't finished our work for today yet. I ignored this annoying guy, instead I put my arms around the other younger brothers and sisters and said, let's go, and have fun by ourselves, let him stay here and work overtime. Pitifully, Jake protested discontentedly. Hey, that's enough, how old are you, don't play the trick of isolating others. I rolled my eyes. Do as you like. Jake shamelessly came closer. Don't be like that. He came closer. Don't be like that, we're a team, we should advance and retreat together, right? The others started to jeer. Boss, you're just being stingy, it's just that sister has a good temper, if it were someone else, they would have slapped you. Our group talked and laughed as we walked towards a bright future together.